Morning guys, welcome back. And I just want to say thank you very much for your likes and possible shares. 100 views. I posted the video up yesterday evening, literally 10 likes so far. They're the kind of numbers I like on the first day. Brilliant stuff. You lot are brilliant. Thank you so much. Right, no extra subscribers though. We still need more of them. More of you lovely people to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, look, it's Friday and I was sitting there on telly watching some off-roaders in the UK, because this is the thing about, I've been watching a lot of American stuff, and what I've noticed about America, you've either got extreme snow or extreme heat. Most of your areas, you off-roaders, like desert. Very rarely have I seen so far terrain like we've got, which is usually just plain bloody mud and deep ruts. And I've been watching these guys, and I've done a bit of off-roading myself with a Land Rover, but I ain't gone into it in any depth to what these guys were doing, and that's the sort of depth I want to go into. Eventually I want to put a high lift kit, not a high lift kit, one of those extreme articulation kits on there, so the axles come out of their blocks and all the rest of it. I want to do that. That's something I do want to do. I was hoping I might be able to get a sponsor for the other thing I want to do, which is lockers as well, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I need to get this thing on the road, really. I was also watching how they were going through these little green lanes and their paint were getting screwed up, and originally I was just going to paint it looking nice, but the paint ain't going to survive 5 blinking minutes. So I think we're going to have to buy a bed liner, and we're going to have to paint the sides in bed liner, all that area there bed liner. I'm going to do the bonnet yellow and I'm going to do the roof yellow, but the rest of it's going to be bed liner right the way through. I wasn't planning to do that, but I think I need to, because I don't think the paint is going to survive, looking at the state their poor old trucks are in. I also think I need to put some diff guards on here as well. And I've been watching a lot of the Americans, they actually take the axles off and they weld big steel blocks over their axles. I am actually debating that. Instead of getting bolt-on kits, I'm actually thinking about physically welding over the top of everything with some big heavy plate. So that's something for the future, but we'll see what happens. I also want rear steer. I don't need rear steer, but I think rear steer would be fun. We've got that hydraulic pack to remove at a later date. But that's now got me thinking whether I should just leave it where it is, trim the metal off and work around that and leave it where it is, because I can use that for the rear steer at a later date, and I won't have to sit there and faff about trying to remount it somewhere else, and it actually isn't doing any harm where it is. There you go, there's the hydraulic pack, which was originally for that Tibber. I don't know if the front axle is left on a Range Rover that I've seen down the tip, but that's a later model than this, way later, so I don't even know if it'd be the same. I don't know. I know the fuel tank wouldn't fit in this, and it came out the same vehicle. No, it didn't stand a chance in fitting in this. I think there might have been, I should have took it off when the body was lifted. There was a tank with it. I should have took it off. I was in such a hurry to get this thing round the back. You know, the chassis, there was a lot of stuff on there I left on it. I even left the bloody data tags, all the blinking four-wheel drive tags, everything got left on it. I should have took it all off. So I've got to order a new inspection tag, and I've got to stamp it myself, because I left the other one on the blinking vehicle and it got crushed. I don't even know why I did that. Stupid move. So yeah, lots of things still coming up on this. Cue the intro. So what am I doing today? Well, I was going to remove the hydraulic pack. I'm now kind of debating, as you've just heard me say, leaving it exactly where it is. But I do know the motor in that needs to come out, because the bearings keep seizing up and I need to get new bearings for it. So ideally I think I should just remove it and then come back to it at a very later date and find a new spot for it, so I suppose is a better word. I've got seats I want to put round the back of this anyway, ones that fold up, and that is actually in the way there. I would like to move it somewhere else, maybe even under the vehicle, but that ain't going to be possible because there's just no room whatsoever. unless I have it overhanging in the back somewhere on the outside in its own little cubby box. But looking at the state of some of the off-roading that people do, it's probably going to get smashed to pieces, and that ain't what we want. Definitely not what we want. Yeah, new week, Monday, will really pick us up properly then. But if it ain't raining and it ain't snowing, we're going to get the other side done. We're going to get the roof done as well. The other side should be a lot easier and a lot quicker because we've already established what and how and where. So it's just a question. First piece of metal. Let's go and get it. And hope the neighbours are not watching and thinking, why is he talking to himself at the top of the garden? So we've got 2 cameras set up. It's very difficult to film back here because of where it is. So where is that other one? There it is, one there and one over there. Now we've got to work the bottom half out first. This is easy, we don't have to measure anything else. We don't have to measure the other side, we've just got to measure and cut, and that should be good enough. But when we get to the top, we measure from that point to that point, then we may have to ratchet strap that across over to here. Until we get to that point, I'm not going to worry about it. And that will go in along there. Problem is I can't really remember how high up. I think where it is now is roughly, yeah, because it sits above that, so yeah, that sits over there. Okay, I'm happy to put that in as is. No, I'm not. I've got to trim the back up. Right, this is a mistake I made the last time. To notch it. Like so. That way it sits flush on the edge. Okay, first one. Bearing in mind I'll be cutting most of that out anyway for the wheel arch. Now we've got to measure for the top one. have to imagine it's Thursday today, but it actually isn't. It's Friday. Normally I upload on a Friday, but we've been having so many problems with my camera equipment this week because I've been experimenting, you see, having separate microphones and other cameras. I've got myself in a little bit of an old Tiswas. For you Americans out there, if you don't know what Tiswas mean, that means muddle. So I've had to literally put a very small amount of footage up. You've already seen this side being built anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter. I don't want to bore the hell out of you. So you've just seen a little snippet of what there was. Unfortunately, the microphone was set on high wind, so it sounds like an aircraft microphone, and the second time when I adjusted the mic, that sounded like something from Charlie Brown, so it just didn't work. In the end, I just said to hell with it. Let's get rid of all that footage and redo it with one camera. Can't go wrong then, can it? So this was Thursday's video. Basically, we have problems. I wanted to put a string of steel box to run along like I've done here, but that piece of metal up there is very, very flimsy, and I thought, well, if I get a rear end going on, I get hit up the arse or something, those metals are just going to punch through that steel and possibly end up in our skulls. Well, that ain't going to be safe, and that definitely isn't wise, and it definitely isn't sensible. So what we're going to do instead is my rock slider metal, which happens to be up here, we are going to use this. I don't have any choice, if I'm honest. We're going to lay those three over, and we're going to cut a curve in them that matches the existing curve that is already there. So we're going to have three separate pieces of sheet steel going up there anyway. My only worry, and it's my biggest worry, is the steels up top are bent, and I can't really do much with them. So I'm going to do the sides first, down here and down there. I'm going to cut the piece of steel out to go in there and in there, but I'm not fitting it fully, and then we're going to see what it looks like up there possibly. I am going to cut the steels out up for the roof. I'm going to offer them up, but there's no guarantee they're going on yet. If I can't push out the bent section of steel, then I think we're going to have to cut those off, go down to Metal Merchants and buy some proper steel, brand new steel, which is really what I should have done in the first place, but that would have been expensive, and replace that metal. That's the only thing I can think of. So that is kind of where we're at on that. Now the rock sliders, at that point the metal will be gone, and that stuff up there, that was super expensive. He hit me with a high bill for that, and I thought, phew, we won't be doing that again. But I do have this old frame, and if I'm careful I could actually plasma cut that apart. There's two steels each side of that, one there and one over there. I could use those for rock sliders, so we could weld them to the chassis, because the rock sliders are there to protect the seals, although the seals are probably stronger than the damn rock sliders are, to be honest with you. There's 3 sections of steel in there. But anyway, we're going to go with it, and then we'll get some tube similar to that possibly, and we'll weld that on. But that's going to get welded on once it's out, because it's going to take up a lot of space getting it in and out of that garden. If a lot of you are wondering why I'm restricting myself on the build to things that I could have done better shape wise, is because this gap, I have 1 inch clearance on the wheels down the side of here. In fact, this black pipe that those fools put in, that's going to be a problem, because it comes out this side. I've got to get it through that gap. I have 1 inch to play with on the chassis. It's tight. The mudguards are going to have to come off. I think everything else will be okay. It's just those mudguards are going to be an issue. Possibly the exhaust, I'm not sure yet. I wanted to build this further out, so it gave it a bit of substance. So I could have done it out here and then gone that way. It wouldn't have gone through. That lip on the house it wouldn't have gone through at all. Pipe, I mean, that's a result of a back wheel on a trike, that broken pipe. I need to fix them all, but I need to get the machinery out, permanently out. So yeah, that's why that body doesn't sit wider at the back. I would have liked to have done, but it didn't. So yeah, that was Thursday's conversation, which I'm now having today with you. Today's conversation, Friday. Hey, it's Friday. Right, we're heading off down the yard. I want to go down Scrappers. Oh, one of the units down now, I saw a CB. I saw a couple of CBs, but I don't know if they're still there. But I want to go down there and have a little hunt for the CBs. I also want to see if wife's in a bad mood with me now. Just come back from the yard. Her reply was, "You brought any more junk home?" Ugh, women. Now, as that happens, yes, I have. If you want to look at it like that, I don't see it like that myself. Right, I have got one slightly battered CB. I'm hoping it isn't an AM model. I do not know. I've got to check it all out. Try and figure out what the power is for that. Two small fans from a refrigeration unit for my big radiator, because my fan isn't big enough to cover the whole radiator. A possible CB aerial. I'm not 100% sure that is. I'm wondering if it's a telephone aerial of some description, and a couple of axle stands which will come in useful for that. All in all, I'd say it's a good day. I don't think that's going to work out. Honest opinion, I think that's pretty clapped out. It's been in the shed for years. It does have a PA plug, which is useful, and a power microphone, which feels shagged as well. We'll see. We might have to do a small restoration on that, clean that plastic up, take the metal off, spray the metal all up. I've got a little bit of bed liner left over actually, that would probably look quite good in that. There you go. Keys with a put. Well, that's kind of like this. I think this video this week is a bit rubbish. Sorry about that. I've been experimenting with cameras and microphones, and things just haven't really gone to plan. I will try and make it a lot better next week. But I think today being Friday, I like to upload my videos, and I've already half made it already up there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this one. And this weekend, I'm just going to sit there and work on that CB and try and get that tidied up. So I might do a video on that over the weekend and put that up Monday for you, if we can get that thing working. That's actually going to go in the rat rod as well. Yeah, apologies. I'd like to have done those roof beams, but to be honest, I'm just so tired. I just don't want to do anything today. So with that, I'm calling the video. I would like to thank you all very much for the likes and shares on that previous video. 300 odd views. I don't know why you're here. I genuinely don't know why you're here, because this car is a heap, to be fair. But progress, I hope, will make it into something nice and workable and usable. The only thing I can think of that I have an advantage over Land Rovers is the body is a lot skinnier, so my access to tight country lanes will be a lot should be easier than some of the Discoveries. I mean, I've watched a lot of tail lights getting smashed up. I don't understand why people don't actually remove those, plate over where the lights used to go, and put hamburger lights and French those in to the bodywork. I don't understand why some of them don't do that. It would you can get those lights in LED form. They're easy to get hold of. They're plentiful. They're cheap. A lot cheaper than the disco stuff, that's for sure. That would be my way forward with that, which is what I'm doing on this. I generally don't understand why folk don't do that. I mean, those lights must get expensive after a period of time, because I've seen several get smashed over some of the videos I've been watching. And I'm gonna give them a shout out actually, if I can remember. It's UK Off-Roading. UK 4x4ing or something that's called. Welsh lad, a little bit older than me, I believe, and yeah, it's quite entertaining. I thoroughly enjoy watching them, and I've been learning a lot from it. I've done a little bit of off-roading, but not to their scale, and certainly I wouldn't even want, I mean, would my Land Rover that I'm building, my Rangy, or right, would it survive some of those country things that they've been doing? Probably not. I know my mudguards are going to get absolutely destroyed if I was to try that. So I'm calling it. I'm definitely calling this video now anyway. So look, thanks for viewing. Thanks for the likes and shares. And I'll see you next week when we start the roof framework, when I've figured out what I'm doing with that. And hopefully I can afford some tin, and we'll get the first of the tin welded on, which is the 2 outer sides, bottom sides, and maybe where the wood is going, the midsection. I may have to buy some new box steel, because I really don't think that the steel that I've already put on is going to be adequate for the job. Generally, I don't think it is. I think I'm going to have problems there, so I may have to cut that off and buy myself some box. I'm looking at this thing now, you see, that's why I'm looking away from the camera, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to get some box and some more angle and literally rethink it. And I also need to try and find, if I can, if I've got time to do it, some weldable panel seal, because when I put some of this metal on, being that it's got all these like box steel sections everywhere, it'd be nice to put some panel seal behind that so it's stuck. Condensation could cause me a lot of aggro later, and I could end up with a load of rot lines eventually where all the bars are. That's my only concern. I could use fiberglass. I could use fiberglass sheeting and just rivet that on. The framework I've already used would be strong enough for that. Certainly be lighter, but not really the done thing, is it? So maybe steel would be better. I don't know. I'm trying to keep it as light as I can. Steel is definitely not one of the lighter items. I mean, Land Rovers did theirs out of aluminium for a reason, and here I am welding metal to everything, and not thick, not thin stuff either. I think it was 1.5 to 1.9. It was quite substantial stuff, but it didn't warp like the thinner stuff does. And I'm not a tin man. I'm not a body man, and I will warp it. I will overheat everything. I am rubbish at that. So this is going to be interesting. Anyway, see you next week. You take care. Bye-bye.